In my last video, series 58, we discussed the Basel I norms and given an introduction to the Basel II norms. Today, with this video, let us understand more about the Basel II norms. Before going into the Basel II norms, we need to understand that the three-pillar approach have suggested various approaches which the banks need to follow to assess the credit risk, market risk, and operational risk. Now onwards, let us concentrate more on the credit risk, then move on to the market and operational risk. So for the credit risk, two approaches have been identified by the Basel Committee. They are, one is called standardized approach, and another is known as internal rating based approach. And this internal rating basic is further divided into foundation internal rating based approach and advanced internal rating based approach. Now what we are going to discuss is the Basel II standardized approach to begin with. In the Basel II standardized approach, the basic difference between the Basel I and the Basel II standardized approaches are, in Basel I, there were 4 asset buckets, namely the exposure on sovereign or the government, second the exposure on the banks, third one the exposure on credit facilities backed by mortgage, and the last one all others. But whereas in the case of Basel II standardized approach, the number of buckets have been increased to 13. Let us now first understand which are all the 13 asset buckets identified by the Basel Committee. 1. The exposure on a sovereign. Sovereign means exposure on a government. That is, any credit facility backed by a guarantee given by the sovereign. First one is Indian sovereign. Second one is foreign sovereign. Second one is an exposure on multilateral development banks like say IMF, etc. Third one is any exposure on Indian banks, that is that one bank taking an exposure on another Indian bank or another foreign bank. Then any exposure the bank takes on a public sector enterprise like say BHEL, BEL, HAL, etc. Second, next one is any exposure the bank is taking on bank's own staff by way of housing loan, car loan, personal loan, overdraft, etc. They also have to be risk weighted. Any exposure on residential housing loans, that is a loan given to the individuals to purchase houses or home or residential or apartment. Then there are some specific exposures. Under the specific exposures we have commercial real estate, venture capital fund, capital market exposure, any consumer loan, any personal loan given to individuals, they are all grouped under specific exposure. Then comes any advance given to primary dealers. Then we have retail loans. As I told you, retail loans means any exposure with a maximum cutoff of 5 crore by way of fund-based and non-fund-based limit granted either to an individual or to a service provider or to a manufacturer or to a trader comes under retail loan. If the exposure exceeds 5 crore, it is treated as corporate loan. And these corporate loans have to be get rated by ICAIs and IRS. So corporate loans. And the last one is non-performing assets, NPAs. So we have 13 asset buckets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. These are the 13 asset buckets in Basel II standardized approach. Now the next one is, so the number of asset buckets have been increased, and the next change is all corporates, banks, all corporates have to go to either ICAIs or IRAs and get rated. Based on the rating provided by the rating agency, the risk weight will be assigned to them. That is, we have two. One is called ICAIs. ICAIs means any exposure which is in Indian rupee will go to external credit assessment institutions. That is the domestic rating agencies. Like say, you have CRISIL, you have ICRA, you have CARE, etc. And you have Fitch India, etc. And any exposure which is labeled in foreign currency, they have to go to the international rating agencies like, say for example, Fitch International, and you have Moody's International, and you have Standards and Poor, S&P, etc. But the corporate can go only to those rating agencies which are approved by the central bank, that is Reserve Bank of India. And from the list of approved rating agencies, each bank have to pick up some of the rating agencies for their usage. So that is what it is. Now, the next change which has happened is, in the Basel II standardized approach, they have brought in three concepts. One is known as asset netting. Second one is known as haircut. Third one is capital for unutilized limits. So these are the basic changes which happened in Basel II standardized approach compared to the Basel I. Now let us know something. What are the role of the credit rating agencies? As I told you, the credit rating agencies, whether it is an ICAI, domestic rating agency, or an international rating agency, they should be approved by the central bank, Reserve Bank of India. From there, each bank picks up the rating agency whom they think will do their job. Now, you see, say, let us take the case of Vijaya Bank. We have a corporate. That fellow goes to, say, CRISIL and ICRA. CRISIL rates him as AAA and ICRA rates him as AA. Which rating the bank should accept? It says it should be the lowest of the highest two. Now there are only two. So the lowest or the highest two is AA. So we will accept the rating as AA and assign the risk weight applicable to AA. Suppose instead of this, he goes to all the three, CRISIL, ICRA and CARE. Suppose all the three are approved by the Vijaya Bank. And CRISIL's rate him as AAA, ICRA rates him as AA, and CARE rates him as A, which I should choose. The lowest of the highest two. So the highest two are these two, of which the lowest is this. So again we will pick up the AA rating for the purpose of assigning the risk weight to that particular corporate. That is the number one. Second one is we should understand that cherry picking is not forbidden. When I say cherry picking is not allowed. That means the corporate cannot choose the rating agency to whom it should go and get rated. That is very important. And the next one is, any rating is applicable for a period of only 1 year. Again, the next year they may have to go and get rated and then come back to the bank. So, sometimes what happens, an account which is rated as AA this year may move to AAA. Or an account rated as A may move to AA. This is known as upward migration. Similarly, it could be possible that a AAA account slips into AA, or a AA account slips into A, or a AAA account slips into A. All these are possible. This is known as downward migration. And each rating agency gives different rating. Say for example, some of them will tell us AAA, AA, single A, triple B like that. Some of them will be the A, P1, P, P2, P3, P4, P5. But some substances of it is the safety part of it. Say for example, AAA means highest safety. AA means high safety. A means adequate safety. Triple B means moderate safety. Double B means inadequate safety. And single B means high risk. Some of them may be using AAA, AA like that. Some of them you may be using some other notations. Say A, triple, A, double, like that. The notations may vary, but it starts from the highest safety, comes to the high risk. Highest, high, adequate, moderate, inadequate, and high risk. This is how the ratings are done. There are two types of rating. One is called as a short-term rating and another one is called a long-term rating. Wherever the exposure is more than 1 year, the long-term rating is applicable. Wherever the exposure is, the maturity period is up to 1 year, the short-term rating is applicable. But in the case of a cash credit account, the long-term rating will be applicable. Please remember this very clearly. That is short-term rating and long-term rating. But the cash credit account, which is a running account which never ends, because we at the end of the year we keep on renewing it. For that, the long-term rating is only applicable. And for all foreign exposure, it is the long-term rating that is applicable. That is about the ICAIs and IRAs. Now, when we risk weight and calculate the capital fund that is required, what we do is we take the balance outstanding. Say as on the balance sheet date. It could be quarterly or say annually, whatever, maybe on the balance sheet. What is the balance outstanding on that? What exactly is the capital fund that is required? We don't go by the sanction limit. Now you look here. I have told you, suppose for example, you have a corporate. I am taking a corporate which is a bank is having corporate, say of AAA rated, say it has got an exposure of 100 crore. It has got AA rated corporate also say 20 crore. A single A rated also say 10 crore or say 200 crore, say 300 crore. And the risk rating given, and say it has got a retail loan also. Retail loan portfolio says it is 600 crore. There is a balance outstanding as on the date of the balance outstanding. Now I have to risk weight it. I write the risk weight applicable. AAA it is 20%, AA it is 30%, single A it is 50%. For retail loan, it is 75%. Assume that that is a risk weight that is prescribed by RBI. See, every year the RBI keeps on changing the risk weight that is to be applied for the exposure based on the economic conditions. The RBI knows. So the Basel norms gives the authority to the central bank to prescribe the risk weights. Now this is the risk weight. Now I am going to find out the risk weighted assets. I am risk weighting 100 into 20, 20 into 3, 150, 600, that is 300 plus 450. Now I have 450, 600, 626 is my risk weighted asset. Required capital is 9%. So naturally my requirement is around 56.34 crore is the capital which I should have to have an exposure of this bucket. I think you have understood this very clearly. Now you look at here, there are these corporate loans, any fund-based limit appear on the balance sheet, so I will be able to find out. But there are some non-fund-based limits like performance guarantee, financial guarantee, letter of credit. Even the exposure which we have taken, though it is only an assurance, they are all contingent liability and they are all off-balance sheet item. So the capital is required not only for the fund-based limit but also required for the non-fund-based limit. But what we do is notionally we will convert the non-fund-based limit into a fund-based limit by multiplying it by what is called as a credit conversion factor. What should be the credit conversion factor to be applied is decided by the RBI and issued by way of circulars to every bank. Now for the performance guarantee, the CCF prescribed is 50%. For the financial guarantee, it is 100%. If the letter of credit has got support of the document, it is 20%. Now we look at here, this is only multiplying the non-fund based limit into a fund based limit. For example, my balance outstanding in the non-fund based limit, performance guarantee is 100, financial guarantee is 200 and say LC is 60 crores. Now by multiplying it by this one, I am notionally converting that into a fund-based limit. So 100 into 50, 50. This is 200 itself. This is 12. Now what I have done, I have applied the CCF. Now I have to see to whom it is given. Suppose this is given to a AAA rated company. Suppose this is given to a AAA rated company. The applicable risk weight is 20%. If this is given to say AA, then the risk weight is 30%. Suppose the LC is given to a single A company, the risk weight is 50%. So what I do, first I notionally convert that into a non-fund based limit, fund-based limit by multiplying it by the CCF and then again multiply it by the applicable risk weight. Now how much is it? 50 into 10. That this is my risk weighted asset. 60. 6. So now 76 is my TRWA. So TRWA multiplied by 9% should be my capital requirement. Now, if you look at I need 6.84 crores if I had given a performance guarantee of 100 crore having a balance outstanding of 100 crore and the corporate is rated as AAA. Similarly, if I have given a financial guarantee to a corporate having a balance outstanding of 200 crore and the corporate is rated AA, and I have given an LC, letter of credit documentary to a rated corporate and the outstanding is 60 crore, then I should have a minimum capital fund of 6.84 crore. What we do is, whatever may be the balance outstanding of the non-fund based limit, multiplied by the applicable CCF, convert that into notionally into a fund based limit, again apply the concerned risk weighted assets, calculate the total risk weighted asset, TRWA into 9%, because 9% is the capital adequacy that is prescribed for Indian banks in India. Now, today we have understood the basic difference between the Basel 1 and Basel 2. As I have told you, 13 asset buckets are included in Basel 2 standardized approach. Then the risk weighting is done based on the rating given by the external credit assessment institutions and IRAs. So corporate loans are all risk weighted, and based on the risk weight, there are different risk weights based on the risk rating, that is AAA, AA, single A, triple B, double B, or single B. There are different ratings. Then we have understood what is the role of the ICAIs and IRAs, that the cherry picking is not allowed, and we should always pick up the lowest or the highest to two. And there is an upward migration or a downward migration, and the rating is applicable for a period of maximum 1 year. And there are 13 asset buckets we have seen. What are the asset buckets? We have also seen the capital fund is to be provided not only for the fund-based limit, but also for the non-fund-based limits, but not to the extent of the fund-based limit. For that purpose, any non-fund-based limit is converted into a fund-based limit by applying the credit conversion factor, and then it becomes a notionally a fund-based limit. Then apply to whom it is given, the risk weight applicable to that particular corporate or the retail loan has to be applied, find out the total risk weighted asset, and then calculate it. Hope you have understood this. In the next video, that is video number 60, we will be understanding the various three concepts. Basically, what is meant by the asset netting, what is meant by the haircut, what is meant by the capital requirement for unutilized limits. With this, if you have understood it, if you have liked it, please do subscribe to this. And I repeat that this will be useful even for those banking officers who are applying for the JAB and CAB exam, because in the JAB I have seen the syllabus, the Basel 1, Basel 2 and Basel 3. So I hope you have understood this and subscribe to this channel, mark it as like. Thank you very much. We will meet again.